Hey artists! Today I'm going to teach you how to create this Walrus Collage. To create this collage, you'll need to use texture, which is how things feel. You'll need to use value, which is the lightness and darkness of a color, and you'll need to use space, which is the feeling of depth. And that means you'll have a background, a middle ground, and a foreground to your project. I hope you have fun today. The first thing that you need to create your walrus portrait is quite a lot of texture rubbings. So I'm going to show you how to create texture rubbings. The word texture means how things feel, and we're going to want to do that with different values of blue. So I've got a lot of crayons here, and I'm going to go through them and collect the blue, because value means the lightness or darkness of a color, and I'm going to want a bunch of different blues to create this project. Texture is how things feel, so you're going to be looking for different feeling things that you can take your crayon and color over them, and I will show you some examples of that. You're going to be looking for bumpy, fuzzy, soft, just a variety of things. So go ahead and get your blues and start on your texture rubbings. So I want you to fill 2 full sheets of white paper with blue texture rubbings. So this is just a file holder and it's really bumpy, and this is the first one I'm going to show you, but then I'm just going to show you pictures of the rest of them as I create them, because I won't be able to hold the camera and create these other than this one. But I'm just going to take my blue and start coloring. I want you guys to use 6 shades of blue. So I'm actually going to fold this into thirds. And then I know how far down I need to color. So I'm going to pick that blue back up and color. So on the next one, I'll choose a little bit darker blue and a different texture. So I'm just gonna use 2 sheets of paper, 6 shades of value of blue to fill up with different texture rubbings. So I have my 6 shades of blue, and I'm just gonna cut them out and lay them out, showing a value scale from the lightest blue to the darkest blue. So I've arranged my blues, and you are going to be using these blues today from everything from your sky to your background waves to your foreground waves for your walrus. They go from the darkest blue up to the lightest blue. These 2 colors right here are actually different colored crayons. It's just they're very close in the way the texture is. They look really, really close. I did decide this one was a little bit darker because on the ridges of the texture rubbing, it does look a little bit darker. So for now, I'm just gonna set those aside and we will draw our walrus and create our walrus collage. So the next step in our project is going to be to draw our walrus. Walruses are really, really big, and their head just kind of comes up to a rounded sort of mound shape. And I have made it slightly bumpy. They're not the smoothest of animals. So I've drawn a mound, and I haven't taken up the whole page because I want some room for my background to show. So after I've drawn that, I'm just gonna decide where I want my nose. And the nose is sort of a triangle shape, but the top of the triangle and the bottom of the triangle are flat. So it kind of looks like this. And you can just go ahead and color it all the way in black. And then I'm gonna draw the cheeks where they have a lot of whiskers. They do kind of point down. They're not really on each side. They're kind of pointing down. And then the walruses have huge, enormous tusks. So I'm gonna draw those next. And then I'm just gonna go up to where my eyes are. Their eyes are pretty far apart. They're not the closest together. So I'm gonna start with a black circle and then a reflection, and then I'm just gonna go around it. So the eyes, they don't have a lot of white showing. So they look sort of like this. The next thing I'm gonna do with this black crayon is I am gonna draw just a couple of shadows. Walruses are really, really big and really, really heavy. They have a lot of folds in their skin, folds of kind of fatty areas. They have a lot of blubber to keep them warm in the cold, cold Arctic. And then the last thing I'm gonna do with my black crayon is I am gonna draw some of those whiskers. They have a lot of whiskers. The whiskers really don't go out to the side like a cat. They kind of point down just like this. And so I'm gonna go ahead and draw these things. And then I'm gonna find myself a brown crayon. Now it's time to take my valued textured blues and my drawn walrus and create my walrus collage. I am gonna save this piece for some clouds. So I have all these pieces here and I'm gonna create a collage of my papers to make it look like there is a sky and an ocean and then my walrus is swimming. So the first piece I think I'll use is, I think I will use this piece and I'm just gonna place it up at the very top. And I'm gonna use this piece because it reminds me the most of the sky. So I'm gonna go ahead and use some glue to glue this onto my blank sheet of paper. And you really want to indicate an illusion of space. So I don't want my walrus to look like he's just hanging out. I want it to look like there's a background of sky and of ocean, and then that my walrus is swimming. So I'm gonna be taking this darker color. I think I will be using this color to create some waves in the background and an ocean for my walrus to be swimming in. I think that looks good, so I'm just gonna glue it on. So I don't want my walrus at the very, very bottom. I want him to look like he's swimming. So I'm gonna glue him on right here. And then I'm gonna be gluing some waves in front of him, or her. So now I have my walrus glued on, and it does look like he is swimming in the ocean, but I'm gonna be using my other papers here to add a few more details. Almost forgot to add some clouds, but I did go ahead and put those up there, and I made sure that I put them behind my first set of waves. It's so important that we make things look like there's space to it. So the sky should be the farthest thing away. The clouds should be next. These waves, there should definitely be waves behind your walrus. And then I've got waves coming up. The walrus is really in the middle ground, and these waves are what are closest to the viewer. So they are in the foreground of your picture. So now I'm going to be picking up my crayons again and using them to embellish what I have already placed onto my paper. So I'll be taking a gray and adding some details up here to my clouds. I'm gonna take a purple and add some wind. That's why it's so wavy in my picture. You're gonna make sure your paper's dry enough to do that. That wasn't right there. I kind of ripped my page. And now your completed project shows texture in the water and the sky. It has value. It shows 6 different shades of blue. Space, it feels like the water is in the very front and the clouds and sky are in the very back. And then there is this middle ground. We've created background, middle ground, and foreground in this project. So I hope you guys have fun today. Happy creating!